MrBeast has just been exposed once again for some pretty disgusting stuff, and it seems like after the first skeleton fell out of his closet, all the others have now come pouring out, and he's got a lot of skeletons. Over the past few weeks, multiple former MrBeast employees now have come out and exposed the MrBeast team and MrBeast or Jimmy himself for some pretty awful stuff, and the evidence so far is really piling up, and it's becoming very hard to refute. So since the evidence can't be refuted, MrBeast and his team have been deleting comments, deleting and wiping their channels clean of specific videos and streams, and harassing different content creators and former employees for speaking out. But none of their sneaky and underhanded attempts at silencing their victims seem to be working, because the skeletons just keep pouring out. So let's get into some of the new stuff. According to multiple former MrBeast employees, MrBeast allegedly hired a registered sex offender to be a part of their team and to work around children. This guy was even showcased in MrBeast's content wearing a mask to protect his identity. He goes by the name of Delaware, and Delaware's brother-in-law is actually a man named Jake the Viking, who's also a former MrBeast employee. And even he confirmed that Delaware is a registered sex offender and worked for MrBeast. So now we have two alleged predators who have worked for MrBeast. Two alleged predators working for the biggest children's channel on YouTube. MrBeast is actively platforming alleged predators who have mountains of evidence against them. So for all those people on my last video who said that MrBeast is totally innocent and he would never work with a predator, he had no idea what Chris Tyson was up to, he would never do such a thing, and I'm just jumping to conclusions, well, what do you have to say about this? I mean, how much smoke must you see to finally realize that there is a fire? I still think MrBeast 100% knew what Chris Tyson was up to in those Discord servers with those children, and now this just further reinforces my belief, because he has obviously shown that he clearly doesn't care about having these sorts of people around him and on his team, and he only cares until he's basically forced to.
But that guy, from what I hear, I can't confirm or deny, from what I hear, he's on the registry for doing some not great stuff to some underage people. And they knew that. And he's working at a channel that has underage people on and around and is targeted to underage people. And they covered up the fact that not only did he work there, but he was like the manager when it all started. And you know that he knew, and because he'll be in videos, he'll be in thumbnails, he'll be around. And whenever he is, he's wearing a mask. Why would you wear a mask? Why would you conceal your face? It's like, what are you concealing? That you are a registered offender? And that your face can be looked up on a thing? How much more can you literally cover up a sex offender with a physical mask? Like, do I have to, is it more on the nose? Or I don't know why they let him go, because there's rumors back and forth, you know, so I don't know why they let him go, but he did leave at one point. Even if that guy didn't do anything, they still knew about it and he was still around. And what if he's one of the people in the Discord servers? What if he's not? I don't know. But when I was there, they called him Delaware. It's like, why do you call him Delaware? I didn't know. Apparently they called him Delaware because he's not allowed to go back to Delaware. And Jimmy knew about it? The likelihood that he didn't know is astronomically low.
As far as I'm concerned, this guy's a total creep, and get this, alright? Amidst all the drama and serious allegations involving minors and total madness and pandemonium, he decides to drop a MrBeast toy line. I mean, you can't even write this shit, bro. This dude is getting regularly outed and publicly exposed by victims and former employees for having predators work for him and bringing them around children, and amidst all of this controversy, he couldn't even bring himself to at least postpone the release of his toy line during the most inappropriate time ever. Also, why hire specifically the guy who's a registered sex offender? Like, were there just no other options out there? What unique ability does this guy have that made hiring him worth any of this at all? I mean, why was MrBeast even comfortable doing this? Why didn't more people in the know at the moment speak about this? Like, hey guys, we probably shouldn't have a registered sex offender working for our massive platform directed towards appealing to children. I mean, this whole entire thing is just creepy. Oh, but we're not done yet, because MrBeast was also just recently exposed by a former employee for a pretty sadistic challenge, if you want to call it that, because to me it sounds more like just torture. Basically, they had a guy do a challenge where he's isolated in a bright room for like 100 days or something, but the goal was to get him to at least 30 days so they can make a video out of it, but the challenge ended up going horribly wrong. The former employee and member of the MrBeast team spoke about it during a recent interview with Dogpack 404 if y'all want to check it out, but he describes some of the almost demeaning aspects of the challenge and how it really fucked up his mind afterwards. He actually couldn't even finish the challenge because it messed with his mental so badly, and in the end he only got paid for the parts of the challenge he was able to complete, even though the challenge as a whole was actually just one big torture simulation and no human should have ever even been subjected to something so heinous in the first place. This whole situation really shows the almost sociopathic behavior on display by MrBeast. No empathy or sympathy whatsoever, just tunnel visioning views and growth by any means possible, whether those means are inhumane or not. And I mean, this really was just torture. I mean, this is some pretty sick and sadistic shit. And this whole thing was never uploaded and was actually swept under the rug completely. So thankfully, the former employee came out and told his story because this clearly had a very detrimental impact on his mental health. And like I said in my previous video about MrBeast, which actually feels prophetic at this point in light of the recent allegations, MrBeast is a liar and a manipulator. These are character traits that aren't just exclusive to specific instances of said behavior. This is how he operates. He is a predator in the wild, a wolf in sheepskin. MrBeast is actually a lot like Griffith from Berserk. He's got this glimmering veil of purity, generosity, and virtuousness, but underneath the surface, this is a sadistic being who lacks any sort of empathy, sympathy, or any genuine human emotions whatsoever. He's only out to realize his dream, and he will do whatever it takes, no matter how inhumane it may be, to achieve this goal. The road to fulfilling his destiny will be paved however it must be, and each person, each victim along the way is simply a stepping stone. He seeks to only grow more in influence, money, and power. The man is the human embodiment of greed. He's more machine than man, and he'd listen to an algorithm over his own heart any day because he doesn't have one. All of the most human aspects of MrBeast have been suppressed over time because they were never required to move him forward and likely only ever held him back, so they've proven to be useless. Jimmy really is just like Griffith. MrBeast is Femto, and the MrBeast channel and business are his Falconia. And I'm glad that we are finally getting to see his real face. But the thing is this, no matter what truth comes to light or however many victims speak out, there will always be those who will come to defend the man they think or imagine him to be. These are the people who are unable to see beyond the surface. They see him do a kind deed, and it's all it takes for them to believe that he's a genuinely good person. They don't see that these seemingly kind deeds come from a place of selfishness and greed. For every $1,000 he donates to a homeless man as he shoves a camera in their face, he more than quadruples his donation and pockets it all for himself. If these charitable acts always came at a cost that he couldn't turn into a massive profit, he wouldn't be doing them. That's the pill that's too tough for most to swallow. His cause may appear to be good and righteous, but his motivations are self-serving and malicious. I still doubt that MrBeast will face any real punishment or consequences for his actions, since he really is just so massive and rakes in so much money for these different companies such as YouTube. But the bright side is that now more people see him for what he really is, and no matter how much these big companies and corporations protect their golden boy, we know what's really going on, and in the end, realness shall prosper. Hopefully, at least.